these days. So let
Okay, so
Shweta
it's
introduce you.
6. Sure. Harsh, I'll take it from there. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's 6-1, and I think some of them have joined. Some of them can. Yeah. So, hello everyone. Good evening. My name is Aurora Shweta. I manage Project Maverick at LawSeco, which is an initiative to make great legal resources freely available for entrance preparations. Through these webinars, we plan to have 1 billion tests between February and May, right from your pre-boards in February and then boards and IELTS, CLAT, endless competitive exams with subjects like legal aptitude and current affairs. They're also endless, and so we do get worried. There's so much to do in such little time. We bring to you today Mr. Sarthak Wadhwa, who has cleared both IELTS and CLAT and his board exams at the same time. Now, cleared is an understatement. IELTS ranked 14 and CLAT ranked 34. College NLS. So really looking forward to hearing your story and strategy, Sarthak. Also, we have Harshvardhan today, who's in his last 3-4 years has mentored 2,500 students almost on legal aptitude. He would be sharing his insights on how anxiety-free you prepare well. Over to you, Sarthak. Would you like to begin, address the audience?
Yeah, so for any like the 90% expectation on one side and having like single-digit, double-digit ranks on the other side just to make it to the college that you want to. And other than that, you have other considerations, like if you spend all your time studying, where do you have time for interpersonal relationships, all these other co-curriculars that you may want to pursue, sports maybe, or in fact, just to sit down every once in a while and just binge. You don't really have time for all that, right? Stuff happening at school where you used to go speak and like act on stage, sing, dance, all of that was there. There's sports as well. So first things first, you don't have to put your life on hold, because it's not like your life will start after CLAT. It's going on till then. Like you can't just think to yourself that this is something that I'll focus on unilaterally, and after that my life will begin. Because then you'll eventually get into college where your mind will be like, after this project submission I'll be happy, or after this exam I'll go have parties. So that mentality will not end. So unless you're living through this entire process, it's worthless to be preparing for any of this, to be honest. I mean, sir was also there for a major part of my preparation, and he has seen me have my own fun while it would be a little presumptuous of me to say, but while being sincere in my own regard, preparing for all of this. But that should not mean that you keep your life on hold, right? Like you keep some time apart to study, you keep some time apart for yourself.
So I still remember you telling me, Sarthak, like how you used to go to gym, and then the person I gave example to many to follow while they are doing their board exams, and you motivated few of them across the country.
So now, even now, like students will hit me up for, bhaiya, how do we prepare for CLAT? Now, I have only 2 things to tell them. Like, you organize and you prioritize.
Yeah.
Like, you organize in the sense that every day, like, you would ideally like study for 2 hours every day, right? That every parent expects कि हमारा बच्चा 2 घंटे पढ़ता. So that what ideally you do for one exam, now that you're giving 2, your board exams and your law school exams being 2 different exams, you set aside 4 maybe. So 2 hours of each you put aside, आप 4 घंटे दिन के पढ़ रहे हो, right? So those 4 hours that you're putting aside, those 4 hours are dedicated specifically to your studies. So long as you know how to.
I think there is a connection.
Yeah. So Sarthak was telling us very right through that how was he managing his board exam?
It should be. So, am I audible?
Yeah, Sarthak.
So now, when I say that you put 4 hours aside, I'm not saying that you try to do everything together. Like you can't touch all the sections of CLAT at once in a single day. You can't do all the subjects for your board exam preparations in a single day. Similarly, you can't do both of these things together either. Like if, like I had commerce with maths, which to be honest, I feel was a great decision in retrospect, because this was not with science. In my opinion, this was not possible with science, because a lot of that preparatory burden there is a lot higher for science students than commerce students. This is something that has been recognized throughout this country for the longest time.
Yeah, Sarthak, on this point, I would like to say that I had PCM plus computers.
And you clear class at the same time.
No, to each his own, Sarthak.
Yeah.
Like again, this is my humble opinion that I would not have been able to handle. But then again, we see examples.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Now, what I thought was, if I'm doing accountancy for one day, then that is what I'm doing that day. So, however much I cover in that subject for that particular day is what my goal is for that day. I won't be thinking that after I'm done with accountancy, I'll be focusing on CLAT maths, and then I'll be doing board maths, and I'll be doing all of these things. The more you try to jump into these different subjects, the harder it will be for you to improve in any one of them. Just organize your day, prioritize one subject, and go ahead with it. And that is one issue that was brought up. Another is if we have tuitions for students from a commerce background go to tuitions for accountancy, economics, maths, science backgrounds, have coachings to get them through the struggles of board exams. Other than that, also there's a pessimistic way to look at it, but there are days that you have to make sacrifices. Like some days that I want to attend my coaching classes, those days I don't really go to other tuitions. Like I ditch everything else. I prioritize that this is something that I want to do. Board exam marks are secondary to me at that.
Yeah, I remember, Sarthak. When I used to come Ranchi, you said, "Aaj school nahi gaye."
Used to happen. And in fact, like right after a board exam, instead of preparing for the next one, like that's an extreme exam people need to follow, but that is something that I prioritize even above my board exam for some days.
Great. So organize and prioritize. So what about the anxiety that one tends to have? You're doing this and you're worrying about that. Then you start preparing here, worried about that. So how do you really train your brain, if I can say so?
So I had the luck. I have a year buffer where I can figure this out for myself, and I know the strengths and have found my feet. Then I can go ahead and for the next year at least, I'll know what to focus on and what not to focus on, even if I have not actively prepared for one entire year. Now you just need to familiarize yourself and acclimatize yourself with what exactly is it that is expected of you. For example, when I'm supposed to do mocks, what exactly is it that I'm supposed to study to be able to attempt mocks? How exactly am I supposed to attempt past year papers so as to understand what how I go ahead with the entire pattern? All of those things, there is a degree of familiarity that you need to like grasp all over this structure. Now, all of that comes with solving past year papers, solving mocks, and after that, you realize how much time you need to give to each subject. So long as you're able to clock in that much time, I don't think there's any anxiety over what exactly is it that you're missing.
Correct. So if you had to really share your routine, okay, I didn't know that you had 2 years to prepare. I thought it was something that you decided in the last year while you were studying in 12th. Great. So you had 2 years, you were very sure about it and you had already prepared enough, and obviously you did away with the anxiety bit there. So I think a lot of students or aspirants will not be able to relate to that bit.
So yeah. I understand that my experience becomes very prohibitive for several people, but even for people who did it for 1 year. Now, one thing that I think could be a takeaway here is that if you try and look at past year papers, you do get an idea of how the pattern is going to be. Now, unlucky for many people this year that the pattern has been entirely changed.
Yeah.
But I don't think it would be outside the realm of possibilities for people to focus on IELTS more to understand the CLAT pattern better. Similar marking schemes, similar expectations of tough questions. So that is something, if you are able to grasp the pattern from one place, you can actually import it into another. So long as you know that there are patterns to be found in one place that can help you elsewhere, that
really share your routine. What would it be? Like you said, you cannot do all the subjects on the same day. So you decide this subject days to prepare. What would be your strategy for those 20 days as somebody who was supposed to sit at that time for CLAT?
Way to look at the silver lining of this lockdown. You do have a lot of time. And this approach that you were talking about, where you chalk down the entire day that you're supposed to, what exactly is it that you're supposed to do the entire day? Now, this is an approach that I used to follow, and in fact still do, to be honest, with the exams coming in. I still do that. And this is 3 years I'm going to dedicate to that. Even if you're not able to follow it word by word, there's something that comes out of it. If you have an ambitious goal where you are trying to put in 10, 12 hours of studying, at least 6 you'll manage. And if you're going by that assumption, it is a worthwhile technique, but it leaves you pretty drained by the end of the day. One approach that I did used to follow, which was very similar to this, was I used to write down exactly what is it that I have to study over the course of my entire preparation. This is the n number of practice papers that I need to follow, need to solve. These are all the chapters that I need to get a hang of. And that is one Excel spreadsheet. There's this one column that is accounts. This is what I have to do in accounts throughout my entire preparation period of 1 year. I did not really prepare for it 1 year back. It was just last 3 months or something. But this is exactly what I'm supposed to do in accounts. Similarly, this is exactly what I'm supposed to do in economics. On the other side, this is exactly the number of past year papers that I need. When you look at it, the less overwhelming it feels. If I'm supposed to do 20 mock question papers across 3 months, that's 20 papers across 90 days. And if you take one down, the proportion of days to mocks actually kinds of increases, and you understand that you have more days to prepare between mocks when you look at it that way. So if you put it all down, this enormous burden on top of your head that you have to handle 2 different exams, it kind of condenses down to this is exactly what I have to study. This is how I'll go about it. Now, from that, you need to organize into your day the bits that you're supposed to be studying. Then I'll just do a mock, see how I'm scoring in the legal bit and what exactly is it that I'm missing there. If I analyze my mock well enough, I know exactly what areas I need to prepare that day. That's pretty much it. You just try and put in the best effort, and anything that you see is a lack in your effort. If there's a gap, that is exactly what you try and fill in the next day. Just go day by day, and then a lot
that you felt that I've done enough. I know I'm okay with, I'm comfortable with current affairs, because for me, I just feel current affairs is endless. You can just every single day not feel confident about it. So it's, boards ke liye, at least you would be confident. Mota mota, I know the syllabus. I have done that twice in the pre-boards and everything. But with this particularly, you might feel it's just haven't done enough, or have done enough, but so much to do.
So I had the most terrible strategy to deal with current affairs. I just decided that till boards, I'm not going to touch GK at all, howsoever much I'm scoring. I had that terrible strategy going for the longest time, for some hectic and too much effort, and I'm not going to put that in. This is going to detract a lot from my other preparation effort. So 6 months I did not touch GK. 50 mark paper we used to have, 50 marks we used to have allotted for GK till last year. And I used to I have scored single digit marks in GK for the longest time.
I remember you scoring 23.
23 was hope for me in GK. I have scored close enough to 50%. That's great.
Yeah. So there's a lot of hope for people who are not scoring well in GK for mock tests. So at least there is hope. Yeah.
Initially, at least, when you're balancing other things, of course, it makes sense to prioritize on things that you can get down. GK is something that is very volatile. Howsoever much you prepare, it will always be out of your grasp. There can be a question that will stump you anytime.
Exactly my point. Yeah. That's what makes it so tricky. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, current affairs also, even if you're referring to certain materials, that's not all the news there is. There will always be more. So you can never hope for, you can't do 10% all of GK and just think 50 on 50 or howsoever much. This is 37, I heard. So that is not a worthwhile goal to aspire towards, because that will take all of your preparatory time and leave you with nothing much. As in, the marginal return that you're getting on your efforts, not really worthwhile.
I like that spiritual gyan in between. You just throw it. It's not the worthwhile goal to
aspire. Scoring these single digit numbers in GK, you were scoring pretty well in sections.
So that was my strategy all along. Now, maths was something that came naturally, and this I understand is a very limited statement to make.
Yeah,
struggle with maths a lot, but I understood maths to an extent where even by looking at options, I was able to do maths. Even if I was not solving like specifically each and every question, I was able to do that. Legal is something that I give effort in, and that is something that I needed time for. Other than that, English is also something that in acknowledgement of my own privilege, I say that English is something that got like decently enough to be able to handle it well. Other than that, focusing on classes was pretty much it. You get increments eventually, like after you have put in some time in classes and you're prepared for some time by yourself, you start to see those reflect on your mark sheet as well. Now, GK is something that I did not put effort in. In fact, I like avoided attending classes also. Just thinking that what exactly is it that someone can teach me out of a sheet that I can access it by that I can access by myself, right?
Yeah.
Now, GK is something that I used to abhor. I did not used to touch it at all. But this changed by some last 3 months before CLAT, and that is where just this question was posed to me again. Like, what is your priority? If you're not focusing on GK and you're leaving it be at single digits for the simple reason that you think that it will cut out time from other preparations, well, what is it that you're prioritizing it? Because I was leaving GK out thinking that every other subject is sorted. Now I should focus on my board exams. But by the end, having been told this, I just realized that board exams were not a priority for me. Like, it was not, I was not aspiring for the 99% that people have made the norm. I mean, there are students in my own class and there are other students that I know in other law schools across the country who have scored those marks. There is a class.
Once you're in NLU, nobody will ask for your 12th class mark sheet.
I mean, two of my closest friends, one of those friends scored 99%. Another friend probably failed in maths. I'm even shocked.
And they all sit together.
They're all in the same class. So at the end of the day, if NLS was your goal or any other law school specifically was your goal, then your board exams aren't really stopping you from getting in there.
Correct. So you just need to clear them. I mean, don't fail them. Yeah.
You just need to have a 12th examination passing certificate. That is all they require.
So it's like you should spend more time in preparation, you're saying. So that answers mine. You really know that this is what you want to do, law. I mean, 2 years pehle se you started your classes and coaching and everything. You were very sure. What grade did you decide it in?
I mean, it was very whimsical. Like around like 9th, I used to have all these different activities that I was participating in that were very speaking.
9th.
Like you do debating, you do like quick thinking quizzes, you do declamations and stuff like that. Some teachers just said you'd make a good lawyer, and that just took root. I did not really think about it actively. I was like, okay, that's a decent idea. Went ahead with it, told my parents. Parents also were, I could like go ahead, see if I like it and leave it when I want. Again, that is also a statement that I acknowledge my privilege for.
Yeah.
I understand that I had that opportunity because of which I had the choice, the luxury of choice.
Correct. So do you feel as focused in 11th? I mean, I always wanted to know if people decided so soon, because I'm the kind of person who will study when I'm very near the exam. So in 11th, did you have the same focus and same, like obsessive thing that I have to study, I have to get into NLU, that kind of thing, or it came in very late towards the end?
So the NLU thing, that NLU wala booth came very late.
Very late.
Initially was, this is a test that will be testing my logical abilities. And it boils down to that, it's just your logical abilities. Like how you hone it is your mathematical skills, your grammatical skills, but ultimately logic. That is something that appealed to me. That is something that I went ahead with, thinking that the classes are worth it in either case. Even if I don't really make it to through CLAT, I still take a skill set home. Like critical reasoning, English grammar reasoning, all of those things were worth it per se. So something that I appreciated then caused me to stay in the system there, in the race, and I sort of went ahead with it as well as I could. I saw that I was faring decently through it. And around the time when people started saying that this is something that you can actually pursue.
Topper, he said that there are two things. It's not just hard work, but also luck. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm working so hard that I minimize the role of luck.
No,
Yeah, so that was something I really liked it. I enjoyed reading that. So, do you believe that there is luck involved in CLAT rank 14? Was it or
Sarthak,
20?
yes, sir.
Sarthak,
Yes, sir.
I believe that the point that Flat Topper said about luck was the only factor. Otherwise, she would have read your interview with AR rank 1. Don't you say that?
Oh, come on,
Oh,
sir. That's
nice,
just
nice. I like
You
that
know, I was
backhanded
expecting it from
compliment.
you.
Yeah, yeah. I like that.
I'll not have those airs about me anymore. At least it's something that I could have definitely gotten.
But graciously accept the compliment and move on.
I understand, sir. I appreciate that people have sort of given me that sort of support and motivation throughout my preparation. Now, having met classmates that have scored better than me in CLAT, again, CLAT not being the only metric of their smartest and their merit, there are other things that make you enter a college where you refine things that you already bring and you learn more. So that's about it. The luck factors is being that I was able to score as well as I did with the preparation that I did. There are people who prepared more but were unable to grasp the pattern and were unable to score as much. There are people who prepared less but more smartly than I did, who were better organized and better understood the patterns and scored more than I did without as much preparation. At the end of the day, the problem solution mismatch that comes with not understanding the pattern well enough and putting in exceptional efforts despite that, that is something that is going to get you down. Luck is only when you realize that you understood the pattern and you calibrated your efforts to that. That's about it. That has a measure of skill involved, but yeah, there is some luck in there.
So, if you had to really answer something about time management while writing the exam, when did you get better with your mock tests? How much were you solving and how much time? When did it come about to that point where it was like,
I think 120, 25. So that was the first mock I gave. I just decided never again. Like one thing that I need to sort out that a lot of the faculty involved also suggested was just maintain a speed where you can be better than me or micromanaging each and every question, just looking at it, over analyzing it and spending a lot of time that a question might not be worth. The more mocks you attempt, the more you understand how much time is it that a question warrants. I mean, if there's a logical reasoning question and there is a set of 5 questions that stems from a single question, then it is understandable that you're spending time there. But if it is a GK question that you have to rack your brain over, that you know something is the answer, but you don't know for sure, and you're just spending time deciding whether or not you make the gamble of putting in the option or not, that's not hacks where you would attempt maths first or attempt maths last or attempt GK first. All of those things, sure. At the end of the day, you have 2 hours. You have to apportion that across 200 questions in any way. And
come back to this, let me just complete. Did you move on, like without solving something, you want to come back to it while solving the paper?
Definitely. I did not even think to my mind that I'll come back at this. I was just like, I need to finish those 200 first. If I have time at all, then I'll see what other questions there are that I can attempt. Like I used to mark on my question paper itself that this is something that I don't know at all. Cross. I'm not even going to touch it again.
And everything going because you had prepared for 2 years and everything. But within your peers, did you help them with something or guide them with something that you felt that they were stuck at? So, you just know sometimes people who are so close to you, where they're stuck, and you had to really, kind of, this is a myth, this is how you should really go about it. Anything that comes to mind that would be helpful for the audience today or ever they will watch it on YouTube sometime.
Okay. So what my recommendation would be to anyone who is stuck with these subjects is just put in more effort towards understanding what is happening in there. Like you can solve as many questions as you want, but if you don't analyze what the import of those questions are, then you won't really achieve much. Like if you're solving 100 questions, analyze for yourself. Like I cannot step into your shoes and suggest that this is something that you need to do without analyzing very particularly what is it exactly that you're getting wrong. Like I used to get these reading comprehension type questions wrong because I did not understand what demanded and the answer that was the answer that I selected, because all of those answers were pretty close to each other. So my struggle was, how do I understand how one answer is different from another? For some other people, parajumbers may have been an issue because you do not find those link words that sort of link the paragraph together. Similarly, for some people in maths, their issue was speed. For other people, their issue was concept. For yet other people, the issue was time. Now, a lot of these issues are very specific to individuals. So there's no catch-all like be-all, end-all way to sort all of this. What you need to do very religiously and very sincerely is analyze your mocks. Any test that you give, why is it that you're wrong? You need to know that. And when you find out why is it that you're wrong, that's when you go back to the initial suggestion where you start working on it, organize your day around that.
Yeah, and another spiritual one then, I just analyze where you're going wrong. Once you have that awareness, you'll be able to, you first have to identify the problem. No, I get it. It's important to analyze the mock as much as it is to take it.
So again, I used to board with that as well. Like I used to have specific board sheets set aside that these are the questions that I got wrong. These are the questions that I have doubts in. These are the questions that are important and nice that I could refer to in the future. Similarly, I used to have a sheet going exactly how much am I scoring in different sections and what my scores are, what is the trend that I see. I used to plot all these trend lines and all. In fact, I was not even preparing for CLAT. I was doing an MBA side by side.
Sarthak, do you remember making those notes on your laptop, those for GK and other subjects?
Yes, sir.
That is what I wanted to tell the kids. Like, I want you to tell the kids how hard you put in through, how well you managed your IT resources at that point of time when there was no lockdown.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
You know, they say, right, that something that you write down is harder to forget.
Yeah.
I just figured I'll write everything that I find like important. I used to make notes of it on my computer. I used to share some of them with my peers, depending on things that they are having problems in. Now, primarily it's GK. In fact, it was mostly just GK. Starting, used to have like a different sheet and news, and I just used to put together these number of like news items that I need to study. Other than which, I just read the current affairs outside my depth at least. Like all of this culminated in those last 3 months of preparation where I was fairly sure of my boards. But this is something that
crack this paper was while they were doing so, they were also asking the people who were a part of their journey to this their dream colleges, was asking them how much the content is relevant, and you always had the desire to change that according to the needs. So tell us about that also to the kids who are preparing right now.
So again, this comes with the caveat that the CLAT paper pattern has changed a lot, and is not. I saw that one recent question that CLAT Consortium put out. I don't know how to solve that. If that came to me, I don't know how to solve that. I may not be the best like voice to tell you exactly how you need to prepare and what content you need to focus on, because that is very year specific. You know, every year there are different developments that make certain portions more relevant than the others. That you see across your mocks. There are analysts who are deciding on what questions to put down in your mock papers, that you can trust them with. That is a fair thing to do, and a lot of these sample papers that are being given to you, you understand what the pattern is on the basis of the sample papers that CLAT Consortium is putting out. That is something that I'd recommend. Like specifically, there's no advice that I can give content based right now.
So, but AI pattern has not changed. You can actually give that advice for AI lit. There's no change.
Yeah. So like IELTS specific, now having made all the past year papers, there are 2 areas that are going to be excruciatingly tough to get through. It'll be English and legal. Legal will have questions that are a page long that will require like 4 simple options at the end of it. Or there'll be questions that are like 2 lines long, which will have answers, which will have options, random like curveballs that they throw. Like if the question is too long and the options are not long enough, that question is not worth reading. In fact, if it is a lot of effort, 2 of the options are based on pure logic that you can eliminate as being preposterously wrong. And for those an answer between those 2 options, what do you think is easier? Going ahead and marking one question randomly, or spending 5 minutes reading the entire question and marking? Like those questions are not worth it. That is something that AILET sort of tests you on. Like AILET tests you on when you understand that some things are actually not worth the effort. Similarly, you go ahead with legal questions there. A lot of that legal reasoning is also legal knowledge. If you do not have the legal GK to back up your reasoning, then you can't really attempt those questions. And something that I'd recommend leaving again. Again, I am being asked specifically, like this was a question during the previous year's ALED paper that is very particular to the Economic Offenders Act, the act that was floated there under which Vijay Mallya spoke. So it was very specific that legal GK that you needed, the understanding of the act you needed was very specific. A question that I did not obtain for the simple reason that I do not understand what this act is.
Correct. Well said. There are, yes, please, Sarthak, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sarthak, how is life at NLS? Before we come down back again to the professional strategy.
Yeah. So now NLS, I did not really know as NLS, the college, till very late in my preparation. I used to have this mystical goal that National Law School, Best Law University, CLAT, since the results have come out, ever since I have had to take an admission there and have been studying there, it has become more real. And while becoming more real, it has become more accessible, more humane. In the sense that it's not as much of a mythical place where only champions come out of, and they're trailblazers, sure, they're mavericks, sure. But there are also people that you'd go to for the smallest troubles. They are helpful seniors, or they are very, very smart classmates that you'll meet. There'll be very amazing seniors who are not even law oriented anymore. There are several seniors who have alternate goals. There are people who are from the public policy stream, perhaps, whose backgrounds are very different, whose goals are very different, and they bring to you this entire treasure trove of experiences that will be very different from your own and will enrich your own in any case. So what I understand from college so far is that it widens your horizon of possibilities, that just look at all these other things that are out there in the world. And when you enter college thinking that I'll be a corporate lawyer or I'll work for human rights, all of those presumptions that you may have on the basis of which you have made a statement, those presumptions would be slowly unlearned, and like that attracts me. Corporate law is something that attracts me. Like throughout my time here, across the board, I just realized that corp is not something that fascinates me that much. It was a presumption that I used to make based on like limited understanding of what the field is.
Because you were good with numbers.
Yeah, pretty much, sir. Pretty much. I used to have that limited understanding that I can be as a first year I have surety about, or will ever be sure about throughout my journey here. Like many people are. By what I understand for myself, I don't think I will be particularly sure. But I think
still, what is the inclination? I mean, your network connection is low. I think it's the bandwidth itself.
Yeah. I'll just check on it for a second. Just a second.
Is it like the wallpaper or the background? But
Connection is fine. So I remember Sarthak making a lot of efforts while he was doing his preparation. Whenever, as a particular person who was with him while he was preparing, I can just tell one thing. He was one of those serious kind of people I used to give example of in other cities. This particular person used to, whenever I used to visit Ranchi, he used to say, "Sir, आज school नहीं गए, या sir आज शाम को coaching नहीं जा रहे." He was always ready with questionnaires. What he just said कि मैं ऐसे marks बना लेता था, ये questions मेरे से नहीं हुए. So Sarthak actually used to do that. कि इस question paper के ये question नहीं हुए. And best thing I liked about him, he was that particular person who said, "Sir, इसका answer गलत है." मतलब mock test का जो answer उसमें लिखा हुआ है as an explanation and answer, he used to say, "Sir, ये गलत है, आप बताइए क्या होगा." So then we used to discuss it कि ना हाँ ये गलत है, ठीक है, because somebody else was making the question paper to which he was attempting. So we used to deliberate on this. Sometimes we remember we were more of a like discussing. This happens when somebody is more interested in preparation. So as a mentor, you look forward to these people doing great. So after our classes, after I used to end my session, then we used to sit there and then talk of issues. He used to ask me, "Sir, he would be a better person to tell you how this actually happened." He used to come all across. He said, "Sir, itni dur se main drive kar." He was also the head boy.
Achha.
So
you didn't tell us that. Don't be so humble, please. Please motivate with all your might.
I mean, that head boy bit does not really factor into my preparation so much as it gave me a lot of other
No,
work
but
to
you
do.
make it.
But you need to do that.
But
Yeah.
you make it sound because of your humility, or I don't know as much as I can gather. But it is like you make it sound so easy. Like I just did this, I just did that. There are only two things. So if he's saying that you could actually sit for another class because you missed the first half, is something like it speaks volumes. And traveling so much for your classes and all those things, missing school because you have to.
Sarthak, you remember you traveling across?
Yes, sir. Like, used to be the time of my life. Hello?
Yeah,
So
I have a few.
that is what we want you to share with kids. Like all the day you were busy yourself, and then even you were very enthusiastic. At the end of the day, at 7 p.m. also you were thinking about अब क्या करना है? Sir, अब मैं जा रहा हूँ gym. This way.
Yeah, so there is Ishani who's been, she's asked same question twice on YouTube. If I may take her question, please, before
Sure,
Yeah, so she said, Sir, I'm a student of class 12th actually, and I'm confused that I should prepare for CLAT along with my boards, or taking 1 year leave is a better option.
Again, better or worse is again based on your preferences. Taking a gap year does not really change what you're going to study at your college either. And if that is something that is more comfortable to you, sure, by all means, go ahead. Want some of that for yourself and would like to take a little bit less pressure and want to go ahead with boards this year and do CLAT for the next one. It's absolutely fair. I wouldn't have. I wouldn't say anything that would sort of make the choice for them. However, if you think that you can handle it, and if you find on the basis of mocks and like internal assessment exams at school that you are able to handle it, there's no reason for you to not go ahead and do it anyway.
She's asked again that I'm an average student, so I don't want to, impact my board results, and also not being able to cope up with both the exams at the same time.
A gap year is the way to go. Then I don't think that there should be any. There should be.
But she should still try. I mean, she should sit. What would you advise? She should at least take the exam and maybe reappear if she's not happy.
I mean, that's again. Yeah,
choice.
People who take these drop years to move from one college to another, and that is also completely fine.
Okay. There is Pooja Singh who's asked, किसको ज़्यादा पैसे मिलते हैं, lawyer को या judge को? Please बताओ. She said,
lawyer.
किसको मिलते हैं ज़्यादा पैसे?
Lawyer any day, लेकिन इज्जत ज़्यादा judge को मिलती है.
Everybody stands up for them, but it is about how to cope up with the pressure along with boards. The webinar is based on that, but yeah, if that is a burning query, then we can take it, of course.
Yeah. I understand that boards actually are a lot. It is a lot of pressure. Any
judiciary is a very जिसको judge बनना है उसे पैसे से मतलब नहीं है. I feel personally that I have seen so many judges, and if I had to really go and ask, their reason was not money. I something tells me that it wasn't. I don't know. Could be wrong. But if money was the thing, then
No, again, like we could go into that discussion, but that also comes down to the same principle that I've recommended here, is that these are very specific to each individual. Like we could get into generalizations of whether a judge earns more or a lawyer earns more, or whether money is a motivator. Similarly, we could get into generalizations of whether board exams can be handled together or cannot be handled together. But it is very person specific. Like if someone is taking that pressure and does not want to, or is unable to on like quantifiable metrics, where your mock scores are suffering because you're not able to spend enough time preparing for CLAT because you're preparing for your boards. Like if you can verify that you are actually worse off in trying to prepare for both of those things at the same time, definitely go ahead and take a gap year. And if you can verify that both of these things can be handled with a little bit of organized effort and putting in like sincere efforts to handle both of this, then sure, go ahead with both of those things at during the same year.
Sarthak, there's one thing which I want you to.
Yes, sir.
Sarthak, one thing that is what I wanted to ask you. With all the online courses coming along, all due to this lockdown period. But do you believe if there would have been that kind of avenue available to you or to the kids at that point of time, when there was these type of courses were really less, so that would have saved the time of you traveling across?
So perhaps it would
Or
have
how
saved
do you
some.
believe online courses are changing?
I mean, perhaps it could have saved me some time in transit that I used to put in, but
Yeah.
perhaps it could have taken some of that active class engagement away from it. Like an
Okay.
online medium is any day imperfect, where you trying to understand what the other person is saying is very restricted to what you can see and to what you can hear. Like a lot of these cues that a lot of these other cues and a lot of these other resources that are accessible to people like in an offline in-person medium will always be diverse from an online medium. Similarly, the teacher who will be taking these classes will only see a window a gallery full of 20 faces, and how clueless they are or how much they understand is not something that you can glean from just that gallery. Like in a classroom, a teacher is
Um,
also able to put in more effort, by my understanding, in understanding in analyzing whether or not people understand.
Ranchi, but if somebody is not from a capital city for that matter,
Mhm.
somebody is from, for that matter, let's take Dhanbad. It's also a major
Yeah.
city, but not the capital city. So they don't have that many choices to make from. So
Hmm.
do you think that the online mediums these days which are available will be helpful to those kids rather,
Can totally
Definitely.
assist.
where they can have best faculty available?
Definitely. Now, this is something that I said again, that for me, the accessibility concern was limited to my transit every day. Of course,
Yeah,
it could be that.
financial is a big thing.
Definitely. So, all of these things, all of these gaps that the online medium bridges, definitely a plus. Definitely.
Perfect. Although we've already covered, Dayan Varsi wants to know that NLS must be great now. How's life, sir?
Uh, so, yeah, Dayan can, I think Dayan can vouch for my statement here himself, as he is a senior of mine, that life there is pretty unique. It's an ecosystem of its own. And that, again, making any generalizations based on my experience would be kind of unfair to the very rich and amazing experience that he may have also had for the past 3 years there.
Where is he? Acha, he's your junior, or you said you.
He's a senior.
Correct. Great. So that is that. I will check once more if we have any more questions on YouTube. Uh, However, we've covered most of the things I wanted to ask. You would recommend everybody to start early, that early?
Now, that's something I did, and that is something that is chill, and then just an entire year that you can focus on your exam specifically. All of those considerations do come in. I thought it was a decent enough a proposition to go ahead with a 2-year course rather than a 1-year course. So I went ahead with it. That is something that my parents were also amenable to. So,
Advantages.
yeah.
Great. Megha Agarwal says that there is a mushroom growth of law schools. What things a student should keep in mind while choosing the best law school for him or her?
There is a provisional sort of list of law schools that is floated around the time of form submissions, where you're told that this is the order in which you should fill law school, like your law school preferences in. I mean, I don't agree with the sentiment that any one law school is way better than any other, but there are like palpable differences. Differences in the sense that not necessarily good or bad, but some law schools have different approaches, and those approaches may be better or worse for you specifically. I mean, there are law schools that are oriented towards co-curriculars more. There are law schools more in the sense that they allow co-curriculars and extracurriculars to foster better. There are personally, in my experience, a trimester system in NLS say it has the kind of academic intensity and rigor that that becomes very hard to cope up with for several people, and that is something that I felt was challenging as well. Now, if that is the sort of intensity that you don't want to deal with, then perhaps another law school may be better. Law schools which do not follow the trimester system, which have a semester system, which is a little more flexible, a little more permissive, that may be a better option for people. Now, the way to fill those preferences, it would be to find out people on these public forums, like such as this one that Losico has provided. Like, it's always better to talk to people who are there, take an honest opinion of theirs, but not do not take their opinion as the gospel truth. Like, assess what they're saying on the basis of what your reservations and what your concerns are, and on that basis fill the preferential list. It does not have to match the list that NIRF floats. It does not have to match the list that your coaching institute floats. It has to be your personal choice, and the more data that you find to like support your personal choice, the better it is, the better your choice will be.
Very good answer. There's another one. Honey Jane wants to know, what is international law exactly? Great.
Like, well, one thing's for sure, if you want to practice in international law, you will need a law school degree, in the sense that you will have to come to college, and that is something that you will be taught. Like, that will be something that will be addressed. It's not an issue.
Okay. Samrid says, I've been told taking a year of internship is better than taking a drop. I'm a sincere student, and I'm going to just verbatim read his question. Nowhere close, can you address this? I feel that my result in CLAT would be nowhere close to my capacity.
Of
Good
course,
question.
that's a fair question. Like, that is someone who believes that focusing on two things at the same time might just detract from your performance in both. That is a fair assessment to make. In fact, if this is something that they feel is, if they feel that going ahead with CLAT at the same time as the board exams is something that will detract from the performance, of course, take a gap year. What you do in that gap year is important in the sense that you would be preparing, of course. But if you have other concerns, like something about an internship was brought up here, right? Hello?
Yeah, internship versus drop year.
I mean, I know peers of mine who had taken a drop year and spent that time preparing singularly, putting in effort for CLAT. Now, I understand that it could spell into like you putting your undivided attention into it, but it would also mean that you're spending so much time into it that you're just tired of it. If you have an internship that you can balance along with this, again, depends entirely on your personal preferences and your capacities. If you think that an internship is something that you can balance with your CLAT preparation, this, by all means go ahead with it. There is no reason to not. But if your internship is something that gets in the way of your CLAT preparation, again, prioritize.
Yeah, keep it simple and prioritize.
It's all your personal preference and what choices you make, right?
Yeah, correct. I agree there. It's important. If you think that it's coming in the way, I'm sure a lot of people are benefited now, and people who watch this later on YouTube. And if there's any feedback from the audience, please feel free to put it in the chat box. We'll be very happy to know. If there's anything that you would like us to cover with Sarthak, maybe in any other webinar, we could do that too, international law or something like that. So we could take that up with him. Please feel free to...
You can actually cover a topic of maths with us someday.
Yes, sir.
Is it like a whiz kid?
You can cover one of the topic of math. You have a hold of that subject.
Sir, my mathematical mind has been on shutdown for the past 1 year. It has not come to my rescue yet. Perhaps next year when I'm doing family law and maths becomes relevant again.
So anything, please, like I said, please put it in the chat box. And thank you so much, Sarthak, for taking the time. Thank you, Harsh, for bringing him to us. And it was really interesting chatting with you. We'll come back for more webinars, by the way.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, great. All right. There is one more message, for a quick one, if you're okay to... Okay, wonderful session, Sarthak. Right, thank you very much. Good night then. Bye.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Good night.